So here's my take on Venezuela and the drug trafficking boat situation. Now, this all started with America trying to stop China from using the Panama Canal. I'm not sure if you remember this at all, but I do. And I remember after that, they ended up going after Colombia and started talking about drug trade and crap like that in order to get a hold of Colombia so they could control part of the Panama Canal. However, Colombia held its own just fine. It seemed like there was no way that they were going to be able to easily overthrow that government. They started striking all these boats just off the coastline in international waters, causing all sorts of controversy. So they convinced everyone of the threat of drugs and were ready to invade Venezuela. However, this clearly isn't about drugs because he's pardoning the drug lords. So why are we messing with all these South American countries, you might ask? Well, as you can see here, Cuba, Honduras, Colombia, all of these surround the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal serves a very, very important role for China, and China's helping South America become more under the China One policy. That's right, this isn't about drugs, this isn't about oil, this is about international trade. This is about the reality that his tariffs didn't work, and he doesn't know how to compete against China and South America.
Peru's Chancay port is becoming the gateway to South America for Chinese car makers that are widening their footprint across the region with both traditional vehicles and EVs. The Chinese-built megaport, majority owned by the Chinese shipping giant COSCO, has nearly halved the trans-Pacific shipping times. As a deep-water port, it can receive much larger cargo vessels, and by the end of this year, around 19,000 vehicles are expected to have arrived and made inroads into Peru and beyond.
Y tenemos un segundo muelle.
We have a second dock that handles general cargo and has slightly more robust cranes than the first dock. Likewise, this dock can receive ships carrying cars that have these characteristics, called roll-on, roll-off, to allow cars to be loaded and unloaded. Recently, one has left cargo, which is distributed immediately.
China has been creating multiple ports all around South America, and they are needing the Panama Canal to operate these ports. Venezuela just happens to have one of the largest deep-water ports in all of South America, and this would be a prime opportunity for trade. Or to stop trade because of the overwhelming force you now have in the Gulf of Mexico that you now consider the Gulf of America. Thanks to all of the work you have done to overthrow and change all of the regimes in the area.
Well, Frederica, there have been weeks of threats from President Trump as the U.S. has been amassing resources in the region. And the president's administration has launched at least 20 strikes on alleged drug trafficking vessels in the Caribbean since September. President Trump himself has said that he has authorized the CIA to operate in Venezuela. And we understand, according to reporting from our sources, that the president has been briefed a number of times in recent days, at least 3 times last week, on a range of options to move forward. That includes the possibility of airstrikes on military or government facilities in Venezuela, as well as drug trafficking routes, as well as what could be a more direct attempt to oust the country's president, Nicolas Maduro. The president told reporters Friday that he'd made up his mind, sort of, but declined to provide specifics. Now, experts have described this military buildup in the region as significant. As you mentioned, we have learned that the USS Gerald R. Ford, that is the nation's largest aircraft carrier, has arrived in the Caribbean Sea as of today. Separately, there are roughly 15,000 military personnel on the ground, 10 F-35 fighter jets, as well as more than a dozen warships in the region. And we heard from Army Secretary Dan Driscoll a short while ago about the plans. Listen.
I think that the President and Secretary of War have spent a lot of time thinking about what is the best thing they can do for the American people. And I can speak from the Army's perspective, which is we have a lot of training in that part of the world. We're reactivating our jungle school in Panama. We would be ready to act on whatever the President and Secretary of War needed.
But no orders beyond these exercises at this point?
We don't talk about those kinds of things, yeah. But we would be ready if asked.
Remind me again how World War I and World War II started. I do believe it was something about trade and embargo on water passages.
Last week, the president said he would release the video.
Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what happened?
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release, no problem.
But today, when I asked him, a different story.
Mr. President, you said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says...
You said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
You said that you would have no problem releasing the full bit. Okay, well, Secretary Hegseth.
Whatever Hegseth wants to do is okay.
I don't know. I'm just watching Grandpa and you guys, so good luck.